Hello and welcome back to the 2023 tour of my various collections. Per previous years, I like to go through mostly for my own benefit and create sort of a catalogue of what my collection looks like at the beginning of the year so I can see how it's evolved year on year. And as I said, this is January's 2023's. So we start in the living room with the Game of Thrones canvas. That's been there for the past year and there's no change there. What has changed though is we've got some new canvases behind us, which I'll show before moving on to the rest of the collection. So this year we also got some new Game of Thrones canvases, which are the 3 ones. At least I think they were this year. It might have actually been up for last year, but yes. There are newest canvases detailing Westeros. And starting with the DVD collection, over sort of 95% of our DVD, Blu-rays, etc. is all in storage. However, this is the small collection I have on display, which gets rotated out on a regular basis depending on what I'm watching or what we're watching at the time. At the top is the various box sets. So we have the James Bond Blu-ray collection, Battlestar, the 86 TMAT series, Transformers, and Babylon 5. Newest ones for this year are Alias, all 5 seasons in a box set, and the X-Files on Blu-ray. Not seen here, but are included in the box set is the movies and the 2 revival seasons. Moving down, currently I'm going through a bit of a DC kick at the moment, so I've got some of the Batmans out. You can see here we've got the, I'm going to turn the light off, that's a little better. So we have the newest film on 4K, the original 4 films, the recent animated movie with the Super Sons, which I haven't seen yet, the original animated series, Batman Beyond, Dark Knight trilogy, Under the Red Hood, and Death of the Family. Then I have the first season of Biker Mice from Mars. Sadly, that's the only season which has been released. Complete series of Captain Planet. And recently I purchased all 3 seasons of Deadwood. That's one of those series that I've tried on several occasions to watch and get into, and I've never gotten all the way through, but I do want to see. So I saw them cheap and picked them up in the hope that I will finally sit down and watch them. We have the DC animated movie collections post their reboot, which started with Superman, Man of Tomorrow. It started with... Yes, it did start with Man of Tomorrow. I was in the wrong order. Up to The Long Halloween. I'm waiting for the Green Lantern film to be delivered, which will bring me up to date on the DCU animated movies. With the exception of the most recent one, any which aren't actually part of the same spine art have been put in storage. And then have the 60s Doctor Who Dalek movies. I originally missed out on these on Blu-ray about 10 years ago, and I'm kind of glad I did, because I've now got these on 4K and they look spectacular. They come in these steelbooks, and they've been gorgeously done, massively updated, and they all look spectacular. Then move on to the Doctor Who Blu-rays. So we have the individual William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, animated releases, which seems to have ended with the recent Abominable Snowmen. And then we have the collection, which I started collecting at the end, very end of last year. These are the re-releases. I chose the re-releases, one, because I missed out on the initial limited edition releases several seasons, plus I like the smaller boxes to take up less room. But this collection is now up to date. Season 8, 10, 12, 14, 18, 19, 23, 26, with 25 due to be released. Sorry, 24, I think, to be released in the next couple of months. I even picked up the movie, and then all of the New Who Blu-rays up to date with Power of the Doctor. Gotham Knights is the current PlayStation game I'm playing. And we have some more Blu-rays. He-Man's a series I got into in the past year as well, following the Kevin Smith relaunch series, which I personally really enjoyed. I haven't watched the entirety of the original series, but I have seen a few episodes and they're okay. It's not my favourite series ever, but I can see why some people are obviously big fans of it. Nothing much down here. We have the Warner Brothers Monsterverse series, Mortal Kombat. Moving on to Spider-Man the Animated Series, Super Sentais, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Top Gun films, and then the Transformers series. Ending the collection with Thundercats, another one I picked up this year and started. Again, I haven't seen more than a dozen episodes or so, but I have enjoyed what I've seen a lot more than I've enjoyed He-Man, VR Troopers, and then the X-Men animated series. Moving across, we have our media display, which has got a few pops in it. PlayStation 5, new TV, which again was picked up this year. This is the current PlayStation 5 loadout. Gotham Knights is the game I'm playing at the moment, but I've been dipping back into Fallen Order and the Spider-Mans occasionally. The new TV was a lot larger than our previous one, and did result in a number of changes to the loadout or display of our room. So we ended up getting rid of the two bookcases we had here, replacing it with this individual one, which I didn't think we lost a lot of space because of it, and it looked a lot nicer than the older ones, which were now, one of which was now used in this corner. That gave room for the Dalek display down there. Then up here, excuse the coat hanger, up at the top we have the Walking Dead collections. Move down, we have the Halo display. Move down here, we have the Power Ranger helmets and morphers. So we've got the Pink Ranger, White Ranger, some of the various morphers and coins. Further down here we have a ship display, so we've got some Thunderbirds, Star Wars, a TARDIS, various Star Trek, Starfleet ships, the Planet Express. Then further down we have a couple of the Beast and Mesozoic figures I've got, which are still fantastic, and I really would like some more in the collection. A small Pokemon display and a small Digimon display with one of the Mattel Buzz Lightyear figures. One of the last year's decisions I made was to buy random figures that I thought looked really cool, rather than necessarily neglecting them just because they weren't in a series that I was collecting. So that's where the Buzz came in. We have the NECA Alien and Predators. There's nothing new here, which is a bit of a shame, but I've been focused on other things for the past year. I can't remember if I had those last year or not, but I have 2 of the Independence Day Aliens. And then at the bottom we have the Halo display, which hasn't changed in the past year. Moving on to the next display cabinet next to that, we have at the top the 3 Diamond Select Marvel statues I have. Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel I've had for a couple of years and have been in previous displays. New is the Hulkbuster Mark II, which I got for Christmas, and is a fantastic addition to the collection. It's greatly detailed. It's a really heavy, solid piece, and just looks fantastic on display. Moving down, we have some more Power Ranger bits, some of my wife's mini pops she got from her advent calendar, some of the Walking Dead figures, a couple of Black Series displays. Overall, there's nothing new on these shelves. They've just been rearranged as needed throughout the year. Existing statues with a facehugger behind there. Power Ranger pops. Group pops. The Galaxy's Edge Coke bottles. And some Pokeball tins. Godzilla and Ivy. Harley Quinn. And again, a couple more Black Series. We then also have my wife's 18-inch group pop. This, and then the 3 pictures we have on the wall complete the living room display. So we've got a couple of framed comics, X-Men #1, and my very first Spider-Man comic. And then we have the Paul McGann signed Doctor Who canvas. We then have my son's room, which is constantly shifting as he wants various things on display. At the top of the shelves we have a lot of his Pokemon bits, a couple of his Digimon bits, some of his pops. He's got into Transformers quite a bit in the past year, so there's been a lot of those on display. And we have his various books and games and Blu-rays and DVDs and things. Halo is another series he's really into, and he's discovered Assassin's Creed in the past year as well, so that's something he's become quite interested in. He loved the Halo series on Paramount, so he's got the Blu-ray for that. There's Power Ranger Blu-rays. He also discovered the Terminators this year, so we got him Salvation. I know it's a bad film, but we got him Salvation for Christmas, along with a lot of Lightning Collection figures, which he has on display in various bits. So he's got some Rangers hanging from some rope. He has more displayed in a battle formation down here. His 2 Funko Pops need to go on display somewhere yet, which haven't found room for them. Got a couple of Lego bits for just before Christmas. He's made those and they're on display now. We're looking to go to Florida in June to Galaxy's Edge, so he's obviously quite excited about that, and that's been a nice addition for him. Some more of his Halo bits. And here we have his teddies, mostly just his various toys and toy boxes. On display he has his Titan Transformers, various bits stuck up in the corner here, but here he's got various gym badges. Through all those, but yes, he's got various gym badges. In here is some old Burger King Pokemon toys. We got him in the year for Christmas. That's sort of a silly little gift. His window display's got mostly just his figures. I gave him my old Legacy Megazord, as I've now got the Zap one, which we'll get to in a bit. Over here's one of his bookcases, all his Pokemon books, pops and tins. Here's Shuttle. His posters on his wall. So he's got the two Pokemon card frames which I made for him over the last few years, which have been in previous videos. New this year is the Hoenn poster he got for his birthday. That's the 25th anniversary poster I made him, not last year, the year before. And then here's two bookshelves. One is dedicated over to Pokemon, so he's got the two statues he's had a couple of years now. And the Pokemon Pops he's decided to keep in boxes. Then up here we just have various Pops and little minifigures. I think a lot of this is going to come down so the other two Power Ranger Pops can go in. And that's it for his run. Oh, the only thing I forgot to mention was part of his Halo collection. We got him the Halo 3 Legendary Edition helmet for Christmas, along with a Plasma Sword Light. And moving on to the master bedroom and the bulk of our displays, I'll quickly zoom over some of the canvases we have up on display. These haven't changed in several years. This year's calendar is Doctor Who for the 60th. Something I did make last year was this Digimon trading card display, following the Digitamer set I got. I can't remember what it was called, but it came with the Japanese alt art cards, which was so nice that I decided to put them in a frame and display them similar to my son's collections. Might as well start over. We have to ignore the messes, but we'll start over here. In the far corner of the bedroom we have my wife's Pops and some various other bits. Our John Barrowman canvas, Walking Dead bats. Top of the wardrobe you can see Marineville and Cloudbase. I got those this year. I got back into some of the Jerry Anderson stuff, and I was able to get those off eBay relatively cheap. They look great. I do have a Tracy Island as well, but that's actually in storage. Up here there's nothing else major, just existing bits I didn't have a lot for. We have a Megatron there. Then bookcases are also, the shelving on this side are currently dedicated over to the Black Series figures I have. I've got quite a few of those for Christmas, so they've resulted in a big shuffle up. There's some really great looking figures amongst there. Then the shelf down has the NECA Turtles, which I've had for a couple of years. Some other NECA and McFarlane figures. Uncharted, Cyberpunk, Mortal Kombat, and then the newest additions are the McFarlane Avatar figures, which look fantastic, especially the Banshee, which is massive. You can see it doesn't even fit on camera. It is huge and it looks fantastic. I'm so glad I got that. I'm not certain if I'm going to collect any more of these figures or not. I have the main pieces from the films that I want. If they come out with some of the kids from the second film, I might look at getting those figures. If they come out with more of the creatures of Avatar, I might look at those. But yeah, in terms of humans and things like that, I don't necessarily have a lot of interest in those at the moment. But I am really happy with this small Avatar display. I'm just going to put the flash back on just to get a better likeness. Down here by the bedside table we have the Spider-Man lamp, and then we have the Sonic phone stand and the original Cortana as well. The Sonic was my son's, but he didn't have room for it and didn't want it anymore. Moving back across, up here on the smaller bookcase, we have a couple of the bigger Transformers, some Doctor Who figures. The rest are in storage just because I don't have this room to display everything at the moment. I got into Sonic a little this year. And wanted a couple of figures to represent this franchise for me. VR Trooper figures, which I've had a couple of years. Master Rider, Captain Planet, X-Files. I did get a couple of X-Files figures this year, but they're again mostly in storage. Moving across to the main shelving, at the top of the shelving we have my various mechas, primarily from Power Rangers or Super Sentai, but you can see there is a Voltron in the back there. There's an Alien Queen. Various Zords from various series. Moving to the next shelf down, we have the first of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. This is primarily the villains of the piece. And we have a small collection of Rangers. Something I've tried to maintain doing from previous years is not have the Rangers grouped by their teams, but rather have their own mixed blend of Rangers from various teams. I do have a bit of a Tommy display there. I think in a small little tribute to the late David Jason Frank. We have a Shredder in the back from the TMNT crossover. Figures which I really do love. I've done another video on. We have the Zap Megazord, which I think is absolutely fantastic. fantastic. It really is. The amount of detail and attention to various bits that went into this is just, yeah. So many people have complained about the pricing and things like that on this. I haven't had any faults. I think the £130 price tag was reasonable enough. There's nothing I could really fault with it. You know, in a perfect, amazing, ideal world, I would have maybe liked the horns to come off and have chains, and perhaps to have had the, if I can open one of them, and perhaps had the Ranger inside painted, but you know, you can understand why the Rangers aren't painted. That would have driven up the cost far too much. The other thing you can't see is they come with very small inch size figures, which are just a single solid colour. I don't know how much extra it would have been for Hasbro to have done them in the same size and paint as the Beast Morpher ones. That would have been a nice touch, but you know, they are such minor nitpicks. You know, they're things that you'd have in a perfect world, and no figure is ever 100% perfect. There's always things you'd want to change with it or add or do differently. But yes, for what it is nigh on perfect, and I'm so glad to have that in my collection. We then have the Zeozord. Moving down, we have the next shelf of Lightning Collection Rangers. I've got the TMNT Power Ranger crossover figures, which I really do like, and they look great, and wanted to add some in-scale unmorphed turtles. I've found that out of all of the turtle figures I have, the 2007 movie figures seem to fit in a really nice scale. They're about the same size as the Lightning Collection figures. They are a little shorter, which is ideal. They have the same sort of bulk and body mass as the actual Rangers themselves, so they don't look out of place as, say, the NECA or Playmates collection figures. But moving on, we have the various Rangers. Again, these are broken up separate from their teams, and I've tried not to have too many colours next to each other to give everything a varying display. I did want a small little pink display, given that I've got 3 variations of the Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger. I think that looks pretty cool. But otherwise, you can see they're split up from their individual teams, and primarily no two Rangers of the same colour are next to each other. I think, as I've said in previous videos, I like that idea of the Rangers coming together as one unit rather than grouped by their teams. And then the bottom shelf is Transformer figures. This isn't all of the Transformers, it's some of them, or most of the ones I've got, which are able to fit on display. The others have had to go into storage for, obviously, space reasons. Some of the newest ones are Blitzwing. I don't get the complaints on this figure. I really like it. It's a Drag Strip, or I can't remember. He was one of the Menasor combiners. A Scorponok, and Armada Starscream. I got the Armada Starscream mostly because I think it has a nice resemblance to the IDW run. I haven't actually seen Armada, so as an Armada figure it doesn't mean a lot to me, but I thought it was a nice representation and close to the IDW run from a few years back. Moving down to the floor, we have Black Series TIE Fighter, which I got for Christmas and is massive. Took a bit of a while to figure out where and how it's going to display. But yeah, it does. It looks fantastic having it. We have the Ark. We have the Lion Fire Megazord. I can't remember if I had that last year or not. Omega Supreme. And Black Zarek. I think Black Zarek was this year, but I'm not 100% sure. And that was a nice addition. Then the centralized bookcase on display. We start with the Lightning, not Marvel Legends collection figures. It starts with my Spider-Verse display, so I've got various Spider-Men. I even took a couple of my son's old figures he doesn't play with to add to the Spider-Verse. I have Cyborg Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, Miles. Two of the most recent additions is the Black Suit and Iron Spider, both of which are fantastic figures, and I'm really glad to have in the collection, especially that Iron Spider. He looks fantastic. We have some X-Men. Figures. Something I've done differently with my Marvel Legends at present compared to previous years is that these have been grouped into or close to their respective factions. So Spider-Verse, X-Men, Eternals, and I've also included Inhumans in there. Then we have what I've classed as Cosmic, Mystic, and Street level. So we've got Guardians, some of the Defenders, Doctor Strange, Sentry. Moving down, we have what I've classed as the Avengers themselves. So we've got things like the Hulkbuster and Hulk, Thor, some Captain Americas, various Iron Men, Shuri, Black Panther, Captain Marvel. So all your sort of Avenger level heroes. And then moving over, we've got the villains display. So various Marvel villains. Hobgoblin, which is a figure I absolutely adore. I think it looks fantastic. Scorpion's another one of my favourite figures, mostly just for that bendable tail. I think they did it. Hasbro did really well on that figure. Shocker. Then we have DC, which is a mixture of the old DC collectibles and McFarlane. Recent additions is the Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman. I had no interest in this until I saw it cheap and thought it looked too good to pass up. I'm on the fence about this Flash. I'm not going to speak about my opinions on Ezra Miller here, but and the costume in film as well, I've not been a big fan of, but somehow in toy form it looked really good. So again, it was one of those. It looks really good as a toy. I want to expand out, so it was added to the collection. And the other most recent addition has been what I believe is Batwoman Beyond. I literally know nothing of this figure or this character beyond this figure right here. I happened to see it in B&M and thought it looked so amazingly detailed and different and really, really striking. Unfortunately, it didn't come with a flight stand, but as soon as I got it, I knew it needed a flight stand for posing. I'm so glad I got it. It just looks so, yeah, it is an amazing figure. As I said, I have absolutely no idea on this character at all, but it was one of those, the figure just looks too good to pass up. And then have Motu Collection, which I'd started, I think, Christmas last year. Sorry, I've got a Witchblade figure, which is, there we go. Got a small Witchblade figure there. And this has grown quite a bit over the last year. So we've got a new Teela, Scareglow, Beastman. I even got a Lion-O, which you can't quite see, but he's in the back there. The other McFarlane is the Curse of Batman 2-pack. Again, when I got this, I had no idea on this story or these figures. And it was only yesterday I finished reading this story. But again, they were figures that I really liked the look of and had to get. Something else I got really back into this past year is buying old annuals. So I've made quite a headway on getting some old annuals. I've gotten things like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles annual from, I think, late 90s, early 90s. Yeah, 1990. I really like old annuals from when I was a kid and things, and having these back in some forms really nice. Some of them are in a lot worse conditions than others, case in point. But in some ways, I like them being a little scruffy compared to pristine, because they were a mark of being used and loved at some point. So I've got the Thunderbirds annuals, Stingray, Captain Scarlet. I had the Power Rangers from previous years. I got some Spider-Man this year. And I got pretty much all of the Power Ranger annuals now. I think the only one that I don't have is Zeo. I might be wrong. There might be a couple of other seasons I'm missing, but from what I've been able to see and find, the seasons which had annuals, I've got annuals for now. I also started getting back into getting the Doctor Who annuals, so I've got a bunch of those from previous years. My Lex Luthor figure. And then down at the bottom on display, so I've removed the cabinet doors and I've had the Marvel graphic novel collections added for display, which I think look really nice. And finally, you're going to have to ignore the mess here, but inside the wardrobe I have a small collection of graphic novels. The rest I'm trying to sell at the moment, as I primarily use my Kindle tablet for reading, and I have the various Marvel and DC subscriptions. Sorry for the Jugged Up Transformers, some books. My son and I have really gotten into board games in the past year. We've both collect and play Pokemon and Digimon. But yeah, I've picked up a number of board games in the past year which we've tried. So he quite likes the Assassin's Creed game. I got Dark Rising very cheap, but we haven't played it yet. The Doctor Who, it's a game I've enjoyed, but I haven't really been able to play it, so I'm the only one who really likes it. And the Power Rangers and Transformers deck building games, both which my son and I really enjoy playing together. Dune, another one I got very, very cheap, but we haven't been able to play it yet. And I picked up some Keyforge, so it looked interesting, but again, I haven't been able to play those yet because nobody else is interested. And that is the collection tour for January 2023. thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm happy with my displays. Yeah, there's always things I'd improve, do differently if I could, but for the space and resources I currently have, I'm really happy with what's there and how they're set out. No doubt they will change quite a bit in the next year as things get moved around, reshuffled. I expect some new additions, but with other plans for the year, I don't think this is going to be such a huge year as previous years. But I guess we'll see. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.